Well, here in Germany, political parties are getting ready for snap elections after the country's coalition government collapsed this month. Junior coalition partners, the Greens, are hoping to stay in power despite poor showings in recent state elections. The party elected two new co-chairs, Franziska Brantner and Felix Banaszak. Both said their party was ready for elections in February. On Sunday, Economics Minister Robert Habeck will be named as the Greens' candidate for chancellor. Well, for more, I'm joined by DW political correspondent Giulia Saudelli, who is at the Greens Party convention in Wiesbaden today. Good to see you, Giulia. So we should mention that the Greens are Chancellor Olaf Scholz's only remaining coalition partner in what is now a minority government. So what is the party hoping for from its new leaders?
Well, the party is coming from a difficult phase. We saw bad election results with the European elections back in June. Also quite disappointing results in September at 3 state elections where at times the Greens didn't even make it into the state parliament. And now the new leadership has the added task of having to organize quite a rushed election campaign ahead of snap elections that are likely to happen at the end of February instead of the planned elections already scheduled for the end of September next year. So it is quite a challenge there. And we also hear from party members and delegates that the party does want to stay in government. They want to continue to be a party of government. And the hope is that the new leaders can carry the party to a result that can allow for that. Now, it is unlikely that they will come in first in the elections. They are currently polling at around 11%. But a good result would be to get a certain amount of votes, a sufficient amount of votes to give them a strong negotiating power to enter a coalition government as a strong party.
Well, a short time ago, DW had the chance to talk to the new co-leader of the Greens, Felix Banaszak, and we asked him about his position on the Ukraine war. Giulia, do stand by for a moment. Let's have a listen, and then we'll continue our conversation.
What happens in Ukraine decides whether the system of peace and security Germany benefits from and on which our security is based has any future. If it's now normal for countries to be able to move borders by force, then it's no longer the strength of the law that rules, but the rule of might makes right.
All right, that was one of the new Green Party co-chairs. Giulia, Chancellor Olaf Scholz has long been accused of being too hesitant in his support for Ukraine. So will his coalition partner, the Greens, now increase the pressure again with their new leadership?
Well, we expect the Greens to stay on course of their strong support for Ukraine. And we've seen in the background within the government coalition some disagreement between some of the Green ministers and Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the support for Ukraine. For example, we know that there has been some disagreement on the delivery of long-range missiles to Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says he's against, and there are parts of the Green Party who would actually be in favor of something like that. But we heard from the new co-chairs, and we also heard from two of the government ministers who are here at the party congress, Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock and Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck, that they want to continue, if not strengthen, support from Ukraine. We heard Annalena Baerbock saying that a just and lasting peace is more important than the absence of war there. And we heard Robert Habeck saying that Germany owes it to Ukraine to continue to support the country because the Greens are a party of peace, but also a party of freedom. And Germany has to fight to allow Ukraine to be sovereign and free.
Well, it was just a week ago that the coalition between Scholz's Social Democrats, the Greens, and the business-friendly FDP collapsed. And Giulia, a German newspaper, Die Zeit, published an article just yesterday claiming that the FDP had deliberately provoked this rupture. Have you heard anything about this at the Green Party conference?
Well, here on stage, there hasn't been much mention of the FDP or of the collapsed government, really. One of the few mentions came from Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck, who said, finally, now we don't have to deal with the FDP anymore. They're not in government anymore. The finance minister, Christian Lindner, is not in government anymore. But there seems to be an avoidance on the stage in the public debates of wanting to rehash what went wrong with the now collapsed government coalition. But behind the scenes, we also hear of some relief in a way, not having to constantly deal with the conflicts happening within that coalition government, especially with the FDP, and also some disappointment. The Greens thought it was important to continue with this coalition government, especially at a time of geopolitical unrest after the re-election of Donald Trump, and they didn't think it was a good idea to let the government collapse now. So disappointment with the FDP behind the scenes we're hearing definitely here at the Green Party Congress.
That was DW correspondent Giulia Saudelli. Giulia, thank you so much for your reporting.